Spiral, 2 Jews, 2 mics, 2 hours, starting now.
Alrighty.
Hi, sorry about my lateness. I didn't realize I had all my gear plugged into all different things.
Well, that may you don't have to apologize about that. You're more on time than the Pope. Is the Pope on time?
You'd think.
You would think about that.
You would think on his list of infallibilities he'd get that one off the top.
It could be the other way, though.
Could be. I mean, he is the Pope.
It could be like Lorne Michaels.
No one's ever complained that the Pope was late, so.
Right, but Lorne Michaels, that's the way he rolls.
Is he a late man?
Oh, yeah. He kept Mark Maron waiting 2 hours. He keeps people waiting 2 hours for their meetings as a custom.
Yeah.
So if you ever hear anybody defend him on any level, just please let them know he's a terrible human on every level, except in 1975 when he did that bit about the Beatles. Was it 75?
I think so. No, maybe 76.
I would like to do something for you, Josh, at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
That I'm very excited about.
All right.
Should I clear my throat fakely again?
Please.
A little boy's got a snow globe, so I put the seatbelt on the snow globe. Oh, whoa. Ha, ha. Even though this commercial has a nice little ending where they make the snow globe big and it looks like a big snow globe, it's still the worst thing I've ever heard.
It's bad.
I don't have the same visceral reaction as you, but I agree it's not good.
Well, because you're a big fan of J.R. Jones and the Bones, is what you're telling me. Is that a real group? You're telling me that's not even a real group.
I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying it's just as likely that they recorded a full version of the song once people started asking about it once it was in a commercial.
That's not what you said yesterday. You said that it was a special Shazam. It's a Shazam offering that they do.
Yes. Oh, I'm not saying that it's like an actual sponsored by Shazam, but that's how,
I know, but I just love it.
Shazam is so common now. We both did it to figure out what the horrible song was. So.
And the thing that bothers me most is the cutting off of the voice. Like, if you're going to sing, I know, but you go, I know.
Honest to God, I didn't even listen to the whole thing you sent me. I just Shazammed it.
You didn't?
That's what it is. And went, I don't want to get this in my head all fucking day.
Well, the thing is terrible.
And the other part of me said I should spend the day learning this on guitar and playing it for Andy the entire time. I decided to go with the avoidance route.
Well, the thing about it is it's for the commercials for Amazon. And I just think that I don't know anybody in my life who speaks positively about Amazon. Even the people who use them
honest to
assiduously.
God, let me speak positively about Amazon. It's the greatest convenience ever created. Okay, that's what I have. That's the nice thing I have to say.
It is very good.
It is at the cost. It is at a huge cost to humanity in general.
Well, if you think about,
but any real strident anti-Amazon thing on my part would just be really hypocritical. That's my problem.
Oh, because you use it so much.
I use it a fucking lot. Yeah.
Well, but the thing about it is, if you had. See, just like the, I think we're used to the system becoming the way it is, but the way the system is only because of laws. Like all those laws, I think it was Clinton even passed a law that totally eliminated the amount of ownership that you could have. Just completely blew that up. And those things were in place. There used to be antitrust in this country. There used to be actual things that would keep companies like Amazon from just basically destroying the competition, ripping people off, with all the different things that they use, that they've used over the years. One time he tried to get all the movies out or something. It was just like constantly is the Bill Gates, even worse than Bill Gates, saying, I'm just going to get all my money from I just don't believe that we all have to think that way. I don't think you would be that way if you were making that kind of money. I really don't.
I don't think I would either, but I don't know. I have no idea. I don't.
It's tough.
But I've never been, there's no, I'm not the kind of person who would have the follow through to achieve that kind of wealth in the first place. You know, it's like there's no, you can't put me in that position because there's no way I would get to that position.
Well, you know, I wanted to send you this, and I will send it to you this after the show because it's ridiculous to send it during the show. But this guy Bob Lefsetz, who I've told you about,
yes,
he writes the most scathing put downs of. There's a new movie out called The Hard Way, which is about John Wayne. I think we talked about it last week.
Yeah,
on the show
we did.
He's so unbelievable. I saw you had I saw that you had either a bored or a frustrated or neither of those look on your face, right? None of those, right?
All I wanted
just a
was
regular face.
The second part of the sentence was all
just
I
a regular
wanted.
face, right? And then I all of a sudden got so depressed, like I was doing something wrong, and I couldn't figure out why. And so so that's a little.
This is the downside. We did fine with no cameras for a long time, and then that brought it back in, and all it is an invitation to misinterpret my face.
I still like it better though.
All right.
I still like it better because I can. Oh, would you rather not see me at all?
It's not really a rather. It's just that it creates a different outcome, I think.
Well, if you think it's better without seeing each other, then we shouldn't.
I don't. I'm just saying this is the.
I love to look.
We
at
just
you.
experienced the downside. Is my point.
Right. Well, yes, but the downside when I was with you in the same place, I'd be like, now I can breathe and see you more visually in 3D. Right. Assume things you're not thinking.
All right. I have a new eye roll button. I'm back.
Do you remember what I was talking about? Because I was on to something.
Yeah, Bob Lefsetz writes the best takedowns of blank.
Right. So he does a whole takedown of where he says, and I'll have to send you because I can't even remember all of it, but just basically how fucked up the music. He's been in the music business forever, so he is absolutely hates the music business.
Yeah.
He says there's a special kind of person it takes to go through all this stuff. And he was actually making a positive observation about John Waite because he thinks John Waite is one of those guys who wanted to make it big, but he also kind of kept it a little bit real. But he is just like so vicious and so right about he'll say something like, when the Nirvana came out and they started to wear, they would wear like comfortable clothes on stage, or even back earlier, Allman Brothers wore like comfortable clothes on stage. He just talks about the whole history of how people, like first rock musicians were just like dressed regular. And then all of a sudden this whole thing got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. These just creating these images of stardom, and these stars, like this, maybe 10 of them, Katy Perry, whatever. There's only 10 people dominate the entire music business. And so I'll send it to you because obviously I'm not doing a good job.
Yeah. No, it's, I'm not sure I'll read it, but send it.
Why would you not read it? Now I'm mad.
Because
now.
I already come at it with, it's the most fucked business in the world.
Right, but this guy has even
listening
more.
To someone rant about something.
Oh, no.
He can't.
Well,
he's not going to convince me.
It's not a matter of convincing you. Yeah. I'm telling you, I thought you would like it. Not what you're thinking. I think you'd like to read this letter. I was saying, basically what I was trying to say was, hey, man, I think you'd like this guy because he's furthering the point that you're making, which is that you have to be a special kind of person to want to make it so bad. But right. I already can tell you don't want it. So
I was just being honest that I may or may not read it.
Well, that's encouraging. Let me see if I can find the right one. Lefsetz, and who was he talking to?
John Waite, or the one?
John Waite.
I ain't missing you at all. Since you've been gone away, I ain't missing you at all.
The heck with it. I don't know. This guy is just amazing. I'll send it to you later and we'll talk about it. I just should do this before the show. Okay, so these commercials, I want to talk about these commercials that we were looking at.
Ow, it's not TV. It's those commercials that get me. It's not TV.
TV. It's those commercials that get me.
Which was it's about this commercial. That there were three of the Amazon commercials. There's three different commercials going on. I decided the one part of the commercial is the guy who looks like Rob Delaney or who else? You said he looked like.
I didn't say anybody.
You did.
Did I? I think.
Yeah,
I think someone else chimed in about what he looks like.
Well, you said something on Twitter. Is he doing the Timothy Dalton or something like that?
No, I didn't. I said Nick Drake as the music.
That's right, Nick Drake. Oh, is the music.
Yeah.
Okay, Nick Drake is the music. But the look of the guy has that "My name is Earl" look. He's got that someone said Rob Delaney. So there's a whole thing of how horribly weird he looks during the whole commercial. Like he's trying to both look cool and be a dad and to pretend that he's just a regular dad. And he's trying to do 7 or 8 things that just makes him look like he's crazy. Or looks like they're shoving too many messages down our throat. Then they have the thing with the singing guy. And that's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. And then the only thing about the commercial that someone pointed out is it is a delightful ending where the snow globe is big. I'm saying it could have been a good commercial if they had eliminated the other 2 parts.
So if it was just a snow globe with silence for 30 seconds is what you're looking for?
No. If they built up to the snow globe without it being, I'm going to strap it into the car, I'm going to do all these. In other words, that final thing where you go in and there's all these things like all that confetti or whatever the hell the snow is coming around him. It looks like a giant snow globe. It's cute. It's delightful.
Yeah.
You probably haven't watched that part of it.
I didn't.
Okay, forget it. Okay, I'll go on to something else.
I was just happy that we figured out what the fuck you were singing in falsetto last week. That was pretty much where the mystery ended for me.
Right. Now, this thing I wanted to ask you is bothers me is the idea of the whole Peloton movement, which I'm sure will be gone in a few months from now. It seems like it just can't keep going on. It's already out.
I think it's waned a great deal since peak pandemic Peloton.
Right, but my question is, I don't want someone yelling at me to work out.
Right.
That's not what I need. I'm taking a nice stroll. Why do people need to have someone yell at them and to build it up into this big thing every day?
Well, because I think it's the same thing we've talked about, is that people want leadership. People are so desperate to have someone tell them what to do or to be certain in this uncertain world.
Well, also the idea, I'm not stupid. I know that I'm going to, if I got the Peloton thing, I would be so fucking bored with it. Most people will be bored with it.
Well, but I think that's the whole thing of these personalities.
Yeah.
The whole appeal of the Peloton thing is that there's these personalities that people each choose their person that they want to work out with, who ostensibly will keep it from getting boring.
But if that person's that good, they're not going to be with Peloton. They're going to have their own class. If they're that
I think that's how, I think that's probably, there's probably a Peloton non-compete clause for a lot of them.
I love though
after the first generation got popular, I'm sure every subsequent Peloton personality has a non-compete.
And I hate when they go, "Come on, Peloton." Who are they talking about? They're talking to you like they go, "Come on, Peloton, do it." That's not my name. My name is Andy. I may be on a Peloton bike.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
But isn't a Peloton a group of riders, a bicycle riders?
Oh, maybe it is. Well, that's beyond my ken. Is that true?
I'm half asking, but there is a name for a group of bicycle riders, and I think it might be a Peloton.
I think it's a gaggle.
It could be.
PEL, Peloton. I want to get more used to looking things up during the show.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Peloton. What's the question? What's the question about it?
Definition.
Oh, it's definition. Def. The man. Oh, here you go. Oh, God. Do you know what I can't stand now? And then you don't care about this, but I don't want to sign into Google. I can't stand it. Stay signed out. The main field or group of cyclists in a race.
Uh-huh.
No, I wasn't saying you were wrong.
No, I know. I just felt so good. I just felt so good being right.
You do. It does feel good.
Well, it wasn't.
We
it wasn't
lock it in, baby.
because I liked how I didn't dig in on it. I asked it as a question, isn't that the name of a group of cyclists? So I felt like I came at it at exactly the right angle to only win. I could only win here.
Well, I'm wondering if you have more bike knowledge.
Apparently. I think we've just established I do.
Riding bikes seems like
I didn't even know I had.
Well, that doesn't seem like a word that I heard before, like gaggle. If you told me it was a gaggle, come on, gaggle, get the lead out. There's so much I don't understand about bike racing. Bike racing. And I read this thing, I think it was in the New Yorker, and I saw a couple of true crime things about the guy who he had dirt gravel bikes, and it was becoming this. He was the best guy in the world of these gravel things. And but then this he ended up, the girl he was dating or cheating on got killed, murdered, maybe by his other friend, by
a small pebble that was shot.
by this woman he was living with, who was because he was trying to be a player.
Okay.
And then you see this whole world of...
This is the position I love being in, where I really don't know how we got into this gravel bike rider guy at all. I missed that part. So now I'm like, is this a mystery? Is this a murder?
It's basically what I'm saying is biking, the world of biking, cycling eludes me.
Yeah.
Because I don't experience it. And then when they're talking about, and then he got the draft of the other guy, and it was like... they keep talking about these things that seems obvious to them.
Right.
Oh, he drafted his way, and then they have these teams, and some of the people on the teams decide to let what's the guy who Jack Armstrong? That's not his name.
Lance Armstrong.
So he's the main guy. He's the most evil guy. He takes all the drugs, and they let him win.
Yes, it's a team sport.
Right, but
then they were all taking drugs.
But yeah, I know, and that's the sad part, because it seems like there's no interest in the sport unless you were on steroids. Why would you have an interest in it? It's a 7-day bike ride through France. You have to be on drugs.
Yeah.
Is it 30? That's the Tour de France.
Yeah, it's long.
You know what that means? The Tour of France.
Really? I had it all wrong.
What did you think it was?
I thought it was. I don't know. I don't have a.
So I was wondering, now I know there's a lot of bike enthusiasts, but I can see how you'd be a bike enthusiast. You'd want to get on the bike and use it to work out. But what is the enthusiasm of following the sport? I don't even know how you follow the sport. It's not like, and they're coming down do they have a thing where, and they're coming to the tape?
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah. But it's usually, it's all about their time from the leader. So it's,
So boring. And who drinks the milk? Those are the Formula One guys, right?
Yeah. Or NASCAR guys, I think. That a particular thing. I don't know. I don't like the racing sports either. But I know what drafting is. I know what that is.
Well, because you're a big draft. Well, okay, I know it, but because my knowledge of physics deteriorates within the first example. Like after they put the Alka-Seltzer in the glass, I stopped listening to any of the science.
Sure, because you had heartburn and you needed it.
But the idea that you're going forward,
you're essentially
sucking the team behind you.
Well, you're splitting the wind as the wind hits you. If you're in front, the wind is hitting you, and you're splitting it essentially in two directions. And then it'll meet behind you, but there's this pocket behind you where you have lessened the wind resistance for the person in that pocket behind you, and therefore,
now I figured it out.
Therefore they have to exert less effort, and we'll have more in the tank at the end.
I guess. You know what it is? I think I have a general embarrassment.
That's why they tend to take turns being the lead rider, because being the lead rider has a cost.
I get that, but then what are they on teams for? I don't even understand it. How is it? They don't know. Nobody knew anybody but Lance Armstrong, right? That name was the only name people knew in the whole world.
No, I mean there were more,
not really.
But but it's not. It's a handful. You know?
And then it's just like, baseball is definitely better without the steroids. So, I mean, I like that it is important, I think, that they get a handle on, we're just not going to do these horrible drugs, fellas. Come on.
Yes.
Come on, fellas. But there's always going to be someone within that group who's going to go, fuck that. It's going to be Alex Rodriguez, or somebody's going to go, I got to have some of that juice to recover from my
well, and yeah, and as soon as someone realizes they've discovered a way to beat it, then they will follow that person, so that person doesn't have an edge over them.
Exactly,
and that's what happened with professional cycling, is that there just was no clean riding going on.
Right. So,
and there's an argument that it's like, fine, if that's, in a way that's a level playing field too, but I don't buy that argument. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, because there's a difference between performance enhancing and also everything you're trying to do is to enhance your performance.
Well, and the thing that robs the fan of any sport when this is happening is part of being a fan of a sport is comparing the greats.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
if you lose the ability to compare the greats in any meaningful way, the whole thing the importance of it all falls apart. The perceived importance of it all falls apart.
Well, even in that Houston thing, which I kind of missed it because I must have been during the pandemic or before the pandemic, it's like, you kind of like suspicious of this team for years. I mean, I'm glad that they kind of won this last year, but they're like, they do put a cloud over the sport because you go, how do I know that they're not looking at the signs?
Right.
All that stuff. But there's a theory that's like, I'm going to throw a spitball. This is the old theory. Like, I'm going to throw a spitball because I must defeat you. And the idea is for me to elude the umpire.
Well, I mean,
so that's been part of the sport forever.
It always has. I mean, Gaylord Perry's in the Hall of Fame, and he's only famous for putting shit on the baseball.
He loaded everything up.
Yeah. Oh,
that's all he did.
That was his thing. Yeah.
And, he has a 75-mile fastball.
And part of the game was, eluding the umpires. Hiding in a different place, finding a different thing. And that became part of his legend, but it's cheating.
Right.
But he's like the most beloved cheater in baseball history.
Well, also, wait, did Nolan Ryan load him up too?
I don't think so.
A little bit. I don't think so. No, he threw at people. He threw at people. That was more his thing.
Yeah.
Because they're like, but that they did, and they did that back in those days. I'm gonna put it right under your chin,
and there's a penalty for hitting a guy. He gets the base. That's part of the game,
Well, but there was a big penalty before they had the batting helmets. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
The batting helmets.
When they'd put it in your ear, as they used to say.
Why didn't they have the batting helmets from the beginning? Who wants a fucking baseball hit in your head? And they were out there they were half naked in the old days, where they had long johns on, and some of them had the big, funny looking
Casey at the bat. They didn't have a lot of plastics in the early days, so you didn't really want to go up there with like a metal war helmet.
I want to say something to you though, Josh, that I was a pitcher. And I pitched I was a relief pitcher in softball. And I think I've told you this story a million times. But
a softball relief pitcher?
It's exactly what I was. In 7th grade, I was the smallest kid always.
Yeah.
I think I've told you the story, but it doesn't matter because it's always a delightful story. So I go into one game and I somehow, and I'm not doing I'm not doing what you're
It's not
really
fast pitch softball. No, it's
not
slow,
fast
archy.
Pitch. It's me going.
Yeah. It has to arc above their head.
Yes, but I got in, and the first time I relieved, we won the game, and everybody was like, blah, 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 blah.
Because of your pitching?
No. I just was able to hold an 8-run lead or something like that.
Oh.
There was an 8-run lead. They brought me in to mop it up.
Okay.
Right? So I was able to get the rest of the people out somehow.
Yeah.
But then the next game, we were up by 8, and we almost lost because of my pitching.
Yeah.
And that's when Todd, the bully, came up to me and says, if you don't get this next guy out, I'm going to punch you in the face.
Well, I would argue that there's no such thing as good pitching in slow pitch softball.
Yeah, but what are you going to do when you got a little kid? When you got a little kid and he's yeah, but there was no, you know what? I'm just realizing that there was not a lot
pretty
of
much strike and ball. It's an arcing, underhanded throw at a batter.
No question. But nobody in the whole league was pitching it like a woman would pitch it, in the fast pitches.
No, I'm not saying it's a shortcoming on your end, Andy. I'm just saying.
No, it is a shortcoming on my end because I was short and I couldn't pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't. There's nothing. What you're saying is, it was nothing I could do, but that's not true. There were people who could pitch better than me, even with that limited range.
Right, but you can pretty much just walk people if you're bad, right?
I think I was walking people. I think I was like presenting them with a gift.
All right.
Something slowly coming towards them. And then I'll never forget.
That would be the first time you ever gave anybody something on a platter.
Well, I just remember them announcing. I can't be wrong about this. They announced, they go, and we won the softball game, and Andy Kindler came in. I mean, I was like, not a hero, but people didn't believe I could get anyone out. No. So for a couple of days, everybody liked me. And then the next week, they hated me.
I had a couple of fat kid glory moments as a kid, too, and it's nice. It's very nice.
No, this was only one glory moment, then everything else. Remember, I went inside the pylons, whatever you call them, on the camp relay and lost the race for our side, and the other team cheered my name. I've had nothing but terrible. I've never had a great result from sports.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not asking to have one.
No, I think you were right not to pursue them further.
Yeah, but you don't realize how much time I put into fantasizing about being Willie Mays or fantasy. I mean, when I put serious time into it.
Yeah. Luckily, I mean, honest to God, and I don't mean this as a self-pitying thing or anything, but as a fat kid, you kind of put those things out of your mind. How do you mean? I mean, you know that there's no obese guy. You know, when I would find like a fat professional athlete, I would, oh man, I loved the representation. I loved it. The Gorman Thomases of the world, the Craig Stadlers, even Kirby Puckett when I was,
How about the guy in the Mets this last year?
I loved him. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That guy's wide. That's my kind of guy. The Cecil Coopers. Or no, Cecil Fielder. Cecil Cooper.
Right.
Cecil Cooper.
Boston?
Was a whole different thing. Cecil Fielder was a Detroit Tiger.
Oh.
Mostly. So I think when you have that kind of body type, I can't speak for other fat kids. I can only speak for my fat kid experience. While I would have the occasional because I was a coordinated kid, I would have some sports moments, but I was also just fat and slow, by comparison.
These are your words, by the way. I'm not agreeing with these words.
Well, I don't care. I'm telling the story about myself. Of course,
yes, I'm just saying
of course they're my words.
Even in the story,
you didn't know me when I was a kid. How could you agree?
I would refuse. If I was with you and I'd say, if I could have young Josh in front of me now, I'd say, Josh, love yourself or something like that. I'm
sorry. Are only you allowed to talk about the central issues of your childhood over and over?
That sounded like a loaded question or a question with some anger.
Don't scold me about how I'm talking about myself.
Oh, I didn't think I was scolding you, but I just thought I was being the way I normally would be, which is not so much scolding you. No, I'm not scolding you. I don't know what happened there.
All right.
I do not know what happened.
Nonetheless, if there's a better way I can describe being an overweight child, than fat kid, which is how I see it,
right?
Then that's it. But my point is I think in some ways it takes the pressure you're talking about out of the equation, because I'm not standing there thinking of Mickey Mantle or Rod Carew in my case. So
you didn't fantasize about being because of your weight, you did not fantasize about being a pro player ever?
Not really, no.
No, okay. I mean, I think we have different childhoods.
Maybe fantasize within, if I'm playing with my friends and we're doing the, fake play-by-play, that kind of fantasies. But I didn't see it. It wasn't like if I got a hit, I could project myself into the future in a professional baseball uniform.
Right. But I guess I'm talking about during the time period. Maybe you never had this time period. Maybe it was just my time period where I played in the backyard for 7 or 8 hours talking to myself. So during that formidable, whatever you call it, 8, 7, 6 years old, I did not know that I couldn't be Willie Mays at that point. I wouldn't have not known that.
Yeah.
So whatever I wanted to do, I always wanted to be the best at it, whether I wanted to be the Beatles or whether I wanted to be so when you realize you're not going to be the best at it,
right.
It's disheartening.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last week too, and I've been thinking about it ever since, and that you were talking about how when you sit down to write a song, you're thinking about how there's no reason why this couldn't be the greatest song in the world.
But it's more aspirational, taking the ego out of it. That you're not writing it from the point of view of, it's like when I paint my masterpiece. That's how I choose to look at every work of art. Even if I know that I'm not as great as somebody else, as like Picasso, I still want to make a masterpiece.
Right. And I'm more of you got to be, you can do your best work, but only masters do masterpieces kind of a.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think anyone's funnier than you? Do you think anyone writes funnier than you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think so. That's where we differ.
I put myself at the table, but I think there's people who are funny.
I don't think there's anybody funnier than me when I'm at my funniest. There's nobody funnier than you when you're at your funniest. It's the same field. It's the same field that we're in, and you are at the top of your game in that field. There's nobody funnier than you. There just isn't.
And I just don't see it that way.
Okay.
I see it as, I'm doing my thing. That's how I see it. That's all.
Right.
That's the only way I see it.
Well, so it's basically, I think what we're talking about here is just different ways of looking at life.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, I'm not trying to correct you. I'm saying how I react to what you're saying,
No, I think there's an interesting dynamic here because the dynamic is I think everybody wants on some level their point of view to be the universal point of view, or everyone should do it my way, or you should, because when I was a little kid, I was like, I'm just going to I can be as good as anybody else in this field, except for if it's ballet and I started when I was 30 or whatever. But at the same time, it's to counteract the fact that I hate my voice and I don't think I have talent enough to write a song that would be a great. So this is what I was thinking in my 20s. So you're not Bob Dylan. You're not this person. That's not healthy.
No, it's not.
I don't think for you, it's not unhealthy. The way you look at it is not unhealthy. For me, that would be unhealthy if I was to say I'm less than.
Well, but I'm not. See, that's the thing. That's what you're not getting. Just because I'm not saying I'm as great as everybody doesn't mean I'm then saying I'm worse than other people. I'm not comparing myself.
No,
I'm saying I'm doing my thing. It doesn't matter if I'm worse or better because I have an idea that I'm pursuing and trying to get that out, No,
but you have a theory that those who get to the top are people who are by and large have to, in a way, not lose their humanity, but they have to be way, 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 way more ambitious.
No, that's not what I say. I say because I also believe there's people who make it purely because they're just talented. That's just not the magic formula. My point is some of those people who are just magical talents make it, but we all know people who are incredibly talented who don't. Well, and some of those people who are incredibly ambitious make it. And we know people who are just ambitious but not that talented who don't. But when you get the combination of the two, like what's his face was saying, then it's almost like a foolproof
right, because you
formula.
Never stop and you never quit. And in this case, what he's writing, you'll see if you can get through it. But the thing about it is, no, I'll send you the cliff notes on the 1-page article.
Thank you. Andy's annotations.
Okay. What'd you say?
I said Andy's annotations.
Well, let's look at it this way.
All right.
I don't think we're saying anything different because here's the thing. I don't think you can compare how funny people are. I think if you're, to me, when you're in that club, you're in that club. So it's like, to me, to not expect the people that you're with in the comedy thing is not I just don't think that way. I think that you can be as funny as any, it's like, is this joke, how do you compare this joke that you wrote in this context to whatever? You can't say that it's not as good as or at the top of your field.
Well, I don't quite understand where we're at.
Because you don't think, because the different thing is you're not thinking you're less than.
I'm not. No.
No.
It's not either or for me.
No, but it's like, it's just two philosophies. The one philosophy was you can't sing, don't sing. And even my sister, shut up. You're not Barbara Streisand. This is the message we got, whether my parents meant to do it or not to do it. My sister, who sung because we had this discussion a couple of years ago. It's like, of course, I'm not saying that my sister should have been a professional musician because when we had the one A&R people we met with, she couldn't even produce her voice. She was too scared.
Right.
But what I'm saying is when I listened back to it, I could say, no, that my dad was wrong. There's not Barbara Streisand here and my sister here.
Right.
So I'm relating to it as a destructive thing that affected my life. That's not what you're doing. I know it's not what you're doing. It's just I'm exploring the differences in how we look at things.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always just been my own journey, you know. There was nobody telling me, you know, I got positive feedback, especially when I became a comic. You know, I could tell my parents thought that was kind of neat, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and my dad thought it was neat that I was like getting gigs and figuring out the business and all that stuff. And, but it was just all just me doing my thing, you know? And in fact, that's what stalled me out in showbiz proper, which is I just can't get my thing to line up with the big thing, you know. And I got really tired of having someone in between me and making things. You know, it's like I got so fucking tired of having to go around looking for permission to make my idea, you know?
Right.
So, you know, so I've been so much happier in some ways in the last 10 years making my own shit just because all the energy goes into making the shit rather than asking for permission.
Well, and I also
but there's no money in that. That's the downside. But in terms of me, but I'm also not like comparing myself to, you know, everyone else's career because I know my career is really unique.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's, you know, in some ways it's very tailored to who I am. And in some, you know, some of that is dumb luck and some of that is, you know, laziness and some of that is just an aversion to certain kinds of people and certain kinds of situations. But it, you know, it's put me where I am and I'm not sitting here going, I should be that guy. I should, you know, that guy's better. I'm worse or, you know.
Right.
I do sometimes go, I feel, you know, I do have this, I think more people should fucking notice what I'm doing kind of a feeling.
Right.
But it's not like they're noticing him, but not me, you know.
Right. Well, the thing is that like when I was 30 or whatever, when I first, let me see, I started comedy when I was 28. No, when I was 25, I was managing a stereo store. Like University Stereo, I managed one. So I was in charge of the whole store.
Right.
I actually kind of enjoyed it, you know? So, and he was happy that I'd gotten into that because, here's what I think. I don't think he thought, like, had weird ideas. Like he thought, you're the greatest. He would say, man, I can't believe how great you are playing guitar. Right. You're like the greatest guitarist I ever heard or something like that. Well, he's wrong about that. You know what I mean? But so it's like,
well, but I think you know, from where I'm sitting, and I can relate this to my parents too, is that any parent is going to be worried if their kids go off to be in show business of any kind.
True.
Because they just know that it's not a solid ground to be on. You know?
True.
You know, I don't think like my mom couldn't conceive of going to Los Angeles to be a writer without a college degree, for example.
Right.
You know.
That makes sense.
So I can't blame, you know, so I'm just saying, you know, and even as a parent, I have a kid who's an artist and it's like, oh, why did I just send him to hobo school? You know? So, you know, so you know, you have to understand that part of where your parents are coming from.
Oh, I absolutely do. I do. And the thing is that, but you see, it's just that I'm at this point in my therapy where after all these years where I really am, you know, it's not a matter of regression, but you start to really see how you know, specifically your childhood sets you up for how you react in real life to events.
Right.
And so, it's not a matter of fault, but the idea that I ended up thinking I couldn't sing, that I couldn't write songs. See, here's the basis for me. Here's one of the main things. My dad, who was I thought he was absolutely a brilliant person, hilarious. He didn't think he was as good as Einstein, or, you know what I mean? It's like, I know what you could say, who would be as good as Einstein, but for some reason, is having my father actually say, look, I'm no Einstein, or putting himself below, like I couldn't, it's almost like what they're talking about, I can't understand, and you really can't understand, when it comes to science.
Right.
Right? So I barely get it. And I don't get
no
that
Einstein, but you're
worse.
Weinstein.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
you're no Larry.
So because the fact that he felt that about himself, he wanted to do something with his life. I told you, remember, I said to him, well, why didn't you, you could have been a great comedian. He goes, when would I have been a comedian? I had 3 kids by the time I was 30.
All right.
So it's like.
Yeah, but everyone did. Everyone had their kids in their 20s then.
True. But I think it's a weird thing. I think my father there was nobody funnier than him. So had he wanted to make a career in comedy and had he not had a family, I think he could have, if that's what he had wanted to do. One of his things was.
But that's the key, is that, he didn't want to do it. He didn't even try. It's not like it was a squashed dream. He didn't, he was just a funny man.
Right. But also he didn't forget about show business. He didn't do with his life what he wanted to do.
Right.
And
what would that have been?
Well, at first he thought he was going to be in psychology. And first he thought he was going to be in social work, and he could have gone to graduate school and been a professor. He was like one of these like genius kids at 16 going to genius schools. He didn't like any of it. He didn't like psychology. He felt disgusted. He was like, he had B.F. Skinner at his school. So, but it's also what he thought of himself. His mother was horrible.
Right.
His mother was a terrible. My grandmother was good for me in many ways, but she was not. So it's just like, it's not even that I'm saying anything and therefore something. I'm just like noticing that if I had had therapy in my 20s,
right,
it doesn't even matter, because these are things that's ridiculous. How my life could have been is ridiculous. And it's an OCD thing. But if I had therapy in my 20s, I would have probably dealt with OCD quicker.
Right.
And I would have dealt with my feelings of not being adequate. Right? Because that's not a way. In other words, you shouldn't pursue something feeling you're not as good all the time. And even though that you may feel that way on a continuum,
right,
just because everybody feels that way. But if you really feel like if you sing, you're going to be mocked, and you are mocked when you sing, it starts to shrink. And that really affected my song. I was miserable in my 20s. I couldn't write songs. But I didn't realize it was because of the pressure I was putting on myself.
Right.
I thought every writing session was an evaluation about whether I was good enough.
Right.
You can't write that way.
No,
I did.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's what I mean is that am so like antithetical to that kind of pressure.
Yes.
Because I've just had this voice in my head, and I'm sure it's because I got lots of encouragement for being smart and funny as a kid or whatever. But I've always just had a very much there's no reason why I can't do it. I mean, that's where the super confidence is on that level.
Right. Right. That's right. And that's great. That's what you need. But without being crazy about it.
Right. But there's also a governor on that, which is I get to a point where it's like, I could be good at this, but it would take a great amount of dedication to be,
right.
And I don't have that great amount of, it's either I don't have the passion for that kind of dedication, or I'm just not wired for it. But whatever the case is, that's why I can sit and go, no, someone's better than me, because I know that they put part of being better is putting in the time.
Right. Right. That's true. That's absolutely true what you're saying. But the other thing I think about is like when I was born and when you were born affected what we ended up doing, because I thought I was old enough to have been doing Talking Heads type material,
right.
And I wasn't. It was like they had progressed to that point. But when I was 21, there was no way I'm going down to CBGB's or any of these places. I didn't know anybody in Manhattan. I didn't know I was in no group of musicians except a college, which was great.
Right.
And I stayed on it or whatever. But now I think in our lifetime, it's become a horrible business, the music business. And that
I would contend it always has been. It's just a different flavor of horrible business, but it's always been.
Yeah, because you couldn't even write your song. I mean, they would steal your songs from you back then.
Any number of ways to dismiss the artist's participation.
But the people in the 60s and 70s, if you were having a dream, you thought that was I wanted to be in Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Sure.
You couldn't see the ending then.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't see the piracy, and I couldn't see all the stuff that would eventually. Because there's a great article about Metallica in New Yorker, and I actually like Metallica. I don't like their music, but I like them as people. Like I like that documentary, and just how much trouble they got in when the Lars Ulrich or whatever his name is just got so angry about Napster.
Right.
It was like he goes, "I know I went too far with it, but at the time I was like, you're ripping me off.
You're stealing from me.
You're stealing from me." And the fact that the record companies didn't react to it early enough, really, the record companies, remember when they would never they never dropped the price of the CDs even when they could drop the price of the CDs.
Right.
So they just kept saying, no, we'll keep it this way with the artists, And so like 6 or 7, those 20, 30, 40 artists who became mega superstars, that's how the business became.
Yeah. It became that they would only, much like the movie business became essentially blockbuster based,
Right.
That this is these giant returns are the only place where it's worth putting our stockholders' money.
It's interesting though. It's like the lesson seems to be that if you're a creative person, there's always going to be people trying to stop you from doing it, and that is always the fight. And that the people, that's not the only fight.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you, actually, but
no, go ahead.
But I feel like what's great about the world right now is that there are still the same gatekeepers, but there's more gates.
There are more gates, no question about it.
There's lots of other gates you can go into if those gatekeepers are saying no, and still find an audience. It may not be the huge audience, but even on this show, we've found an audience for us just fucking talking.
Yeah.
Because for some reason people relate to one or both of you or either of us,
right? Right.
And what we're talking about resonates, and that's true if you're a songwriter or a comedian or what, comedians are harder because you have to have an audience in order to make stand up a real thing. But you can still put lots of comedy in the world in other ways too.
Right. Right. And, the thing about this Metallica article was like, they were saying like, so Metallica's, one of the guys in the Stranger Things, I don't know the show at all. Do you know it?
I don't really know. I certainly know of it. I just don't know it. I don't know.
So one of the guys is like he's like a heavy metal guy. So they ended up singing a Metallica song, and somehow with Metallica, all of a sudden became in everyone's consciousness. And so the guys in Metallica were saying the old school rock and rollers might not have been, or Bill Hicks would be like, I'm not going to do anything that cashes in on my and ruins my image of the rocker.
Right.
But these guys are like, look, this is how they are now in the consciousness. They wouldn't be in everyone's consciousness today if this show wasn't out, and they celebrated.
Well, yeah.
So they jammed with the guy who played in the movie. And
that's smart.
Yeah, and
I'm glad they wised up finally.
Hold on one second. What's that? Is someone calling me? Oh, no, we're not expecting anyone. So do not let them in. We get in trouble here if we let anybody in, but we can't see the front door. Don't you think you should have a thing where you can see who's at the front door?
At least have a Ring doorbell or something for everybody.
And what year is this? Right. All right. So, and that's why I was like, I want to go back and watch. It's like, sometimes you watch something and you go, why do I love this so much? Because I really do think there's something endearing about those guys and how long they've been doing it. And who loves them is Chris Christopherson. Says they're the greatest people in the world. And he loves.
I'm sorry, who?
He loves them. Metallica is Chris Christopherson. Okay. Yeah. So, but it just made me feel like
I love Some Kind of Monster. I love that doc so much.
It is maybe I can't even think of so many angles to it. It's the crazy, I didn't realize
it doesn't make me like Metallica more, but man, I fucking love that doc.
Well, at first it made me mock Metallica when I first saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, these guys don't know. I thought it was Spinal Tap. But the more you look at it, you realize, well, it's music you don't like. So I'm never going to like the music.
But I liked that they were trying. I really did like that they were trying.
And that guy Kirk is an interesting guy. The guy Kirk Hammett, who's the bass player, but also he's from the bass player is from like his. I'm going to get this wrong. His mother may be from El Salvador or something. So it was like within the group there were more. It was more like wasn't so all white even within the group. So and they have a weird.
They switched up bass players over the years too.
Right. Well, that's right. Because at first they had a whites only. I'm just kidding. The Beatles had a whites only thing too. I was just weird.
It's true.
I want to watch two things, and I recommend these without having seen them. Two things: The Hard Way. Haven't seen it yet, but I want to see it. And what
is the Hard Way? Is the John Waits doc?
Yeah, it's about the John. It's a
because it's also a James Woods movie. I just wanted to make sure that we were clear that you weren't recommending.
Yeah, not a James Woods movie. Definitely not a James Woods movie. He's in trouble all the time now.
Yeah,
he can't figure out why he can't be racist and why everyone's not cool with it. Right. Okay, I forgot what I was going to say. It doesn't matter.
There was Metallica. There was all this stuff.
Metallica. But yes, but the other thing I want to say was that it just seems like life can be hard, right? So life's always been hard.
Yeah.
If it was 200 years ago, we wouldn't be worried about this so much. It'd be, hey, I can't get water to my thing. And nobody's got any gruel. Do you have any extra flaxseed? I don't know what they did back in the old days. But you were barely surviving.
Yes.
So every lifetime, there's been these things. There's been these things that look like no one's ever gone through this before. But it's probably a universal thing. It's happened forever. And each generation has its different things. But I wish it had been easier a little bit. Like we wouldn't have Nazis and we didn't have... You know what I mean? If we didn't have Nazis or Elon Musks.
Right.
But I guess it doesn't.
And we didn't all have to fucking talk to each other so much without actually talking to each other.
That has got to be the weirdest thing. And not at any other time in history could there ever be a time where you could have this intimacy that's not intimate.
Yeah, and where you could find your community of horrible people so easily. and be embraced by them, you know? It's like it has created an atmosphere where just like any artist can find their audience, any asshole can find their audience. Any asshole can find his people and be reinforced for what they believe or are spewing.
Right, which is what happened with all these Chappelle people and all these people. Like I'm actually having fun with Twitter now because I think it could go any day.
Yeah.
So I really don't care.
Like, to leave now is like, now it's the fall of Rome kind of almost. You have to just see how it shakes out because there's no cost. There's no cost.
There's no cost now.
I mean, there's a tiny bit of psychic cost, but fuck. Who cares?
And the thing is,
I use Amazon too. There's plenty of psychic cost there.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just, I forgot what I was going to say. And what the thing is, you can't, the one thing that you cannot relieve or help is the fact that I'm, either going crazy or resolving things in my life and getting to a point where I lose the panic. So if I didn't have the anxiety that would come in, then I wouldn't have the moment where I'd be saying, what was I saying? My therapist claims that I'm actually not losing my mind, that my mind is more aware. But there must be, I don't remember earlier in my life, I didn't acknowledge anxiety. I think when I didn't acknowledge anxiety, I would just try and work my way out of the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I mean, I see how, like, it's weird to me that you couldn't see it as anxiety.
Yeah, isn't that weird? It is,
that you couldn't identify it as fear.
Yeah, especially with all the fear in my family. But
yeah, but I'm glad you got to it,
Yeah.
And I think the thousands of people listening to us all this time will say, no, you're not heading in the wrong direction.
No. Well, no, but I mean, I will say that I'm not, and I don't want to cry a river, but I do cry a river. I mean, the thing that's insidious about OCD is that it adds another level of the actual disease itself is so insidious. If you allow yourself to go into the every single different little permutation of what you're worried about.
Yeah, no, it seems to me that the only solution is training yourself to thought stop. You know?
Yes.
I mean, it just, I think you've done a very good job of being able to identify what's happening.
Right.
But the next thing is identify it and then shut it the fuck down.
Well, you ought to be shut down the negative thing. The thing about the thing that my therapist said to me, which is true, is that I probably am going to go up on my Prozac because she had been noticing that the disease is just so strong.
Right.
It's a very strong disease, and you're fighting it. You may not be able to fight it. You can't fight it with your mind at some points.
Right.
So she said, no, I definitely noticed that
and it's presumptuous of me to go, you need to thought stop. I mean, I don't know shit.
Well, that's part of it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that part of it is puncturing every thought. If you puncture every thought that comes to you, and that's kind of what I'm doing now, because I don't want to, what I think was sad about my other parts of my life was falling into this sadness, semi-depression based on my fear of what was going to happen in the next moment.
Right.
And I don't want to live that way anymore. And I'm really probably the pandemic really helped me because it forced me to slow down.
Right.
It forced me to not. So it's easier for me to be able to sit and go, no, don't. Just because I'll give you an example. I go, if I smell something that reminds me of my childhood, I could get instantly depressed. And if I'm not aware of it, think that I'm actually depressed.
Right.
So, thank God.
Which is almost as simple as going, oh, you're just hungry.
Well, that's why they say hungry. What do they say in like the 12-step groups? Hungry, not even, or for any mental problems. Hungry.
Right.
You should
like
always
a checklist of things.
Yeah. And then, and that really is true because a lot of times it'll be like with me, like,
except for I always get to murderous and go, yep, that's it. And then,
oh man, I mean, we have accomplished so much. I mean, I'm not lulling you. I'm not lulling you, or I'm not.
There's no point in lulling me. It's the end.
Gonna take a little break. Gonna take a little break now. Gonna take a little break. Gonna take a little break now. Gonna take a little break. Please stop talking for a moment. Take a little break now. Gonna take a little break. Please stop talking. Gonna take a little break. If it's in your power, break now. Gonna take a little break. Just stop talking. Gonna take a little break for a minute. Gonna take a little break now. Gonna take a little break so I can stomach another hour. Gonna take a little break now. Gonna take a little break.
I want to start a question for you before we get into all the. My God, where's my phone? Oh, here it is. You know the song, Beatles song. I'm not going to sing it because then you'll have to get the clearance. But
yeah, you know how fastidious I am with clearances.
But you know the song, Honey Pie.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that song I always assumed was like a takeoff on other kinds of music, right?
Yes.
Now, is that what spurred Billy Joel to do ooh wee yee woo wee boo 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 doo? Was that what got him? Because I don't think
know. I don't know what Billy Joel was doing there. I don't know what that was.
You know, ooh ah, it's for the longest time.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you. It's the same. He thinks he's being. That's what I think. He's being like the Beatles.
No, I don't think he thought he was being like the Beatles. I thought he was being a doo-wop group, which is not like the Beatles at all.
No. But the concept of taking another style, which would be that self-restraint. No way.
No, it's. I mean, in the sense that he did a throwback album. That whole album was meant to be sort of a.
he made a whole album that sounds like woo.
No,
but what other songs are on there that says
Tell Her About It is kind of a
Tell Her About It. There's something about Billy Joel that makes some people, it makes you want to really either go nuts on him, but then you have to say, well, it's pretty good.
I don't have you don't have a
dog in the fight?
I don't have a dog in the fight. I like Billy Joel when I like him, and I don't really care the rest of the time.
Right. Well, I think, isn't that ultimately, unless the person is really transgressing? I just wanted to use the word transgressing.
No, there's some people who annoy you enough that it's just a blanket hatred.
That's true, and it wouldn't be Billy Joel.
You know, part of it was that my mom loved Billy Joel. So and in fact, she particularly loved that album.
Let me finish.
She loved for the longest time.
Why do I feel like I'm going to... I spent about 10, 15, 20 minutes on this.
On the boom stand?
Well, yeah, the angle and should it go down like that? It's all my new book. Have you seen my new book? Yeah. I'm writing a whole book about jokes that people make on podcasts and things when you can't see them.
And it's called Andy Kindler's Bedtime Stories.
No, that's not what it's called. It's called Unseen. It's like a body language. I'm selling it through the body. What's it called?
See, it should be bedtime stories. I'm telling you.
But what's the body language people who would they'll look at Hitler and go, look, Hitler, he's waving his upper hand, but with his lower hand, he's giving another signal. That's how you know he's evil.
Yeah.
I thought it was the concentration camps.
Huh.
I don't know where I was going. I wasn't cheapening something, but I certainly went to I certainly hit something hard on that punchline.
You did. It was like you were referencing a bit that didn't exist.
I should be almost like a, what's it called when someone's a perfect example of? I should be an example of, I don't know.
A perfect example.
No, you know what I mean.
An exemplar?
No, I mean like it's a little bit like
quintessential.
Yeah, but now that I'm realizing that it is a word like quintessential, but it's not an interesting enough word to keep going on it because I don't know if it's the antediluvian. No,
I don't think so.
Oh, I had some other words that I didn't get a chance to look up that were New Yorker articles.
Yeah.
That I wanted to ask you about as long as I have you.
Just to see if you can make me look bad along with you.
Peripatetic.
Peripatetic, I can't quite give you one.
But you've seen it before, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you ever say yourself during the New Yorker article? I think I have a general idea. I think of it as like something as like intermittent, but that can't be it.
I don't know. It might be.
But I always say to myself, hey, don't you people who read the New Yorker also do this? This is a great bit for the clubs. Yeah. Hey, who reads the New Yorker here?
The thing about peripatetic is you're kind of a dick for using it.
Oh, you just looked it up. You looked it up in a smooth way.
No, I didn't look it up. I'm just saying. I bet there's a more accessible way to say whatever peripatetic is doing. Yes.
Well, there's a lot of words like that and they're always in New Yorker articles.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is, I mean, people read the New Yorker to feel smart.
Right, but then
that's the last association, positive association they have left going for them is that it's at least pseudo intellectual.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is though, sometimes I feel like I learned some words there that I do try to use. Like, for example, I didn't know what Craven meant about a year ago. Right. And then I got really mad at that asshole. What's his name? Who does the... I don't know. Okay. Yes, you know who it is. Alex Gibney or whatever. The guy who was called Obama Craven.
Yes.
So that made me have to look it up. Now you're getting into
I was mad. Once I learned what he said, I was steaming.
And now it's the end of the year, Andy.
Hey, Gibney, I looked it up. You're a dick.
End of the 2022 grudges. You know what, Josh? I still hate Adam Sandler. I gotta tell you, even though it's going into a new year, can't stand him.
That's fantastic.
Do you think I'll ever let that go?
I don't think you will. Because I don't think you want to.
Well, that makes it even more transparently something you hold on to that gives you a little energy sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's what you're doing with it.
I need to get kicked. You know what? When I'm 85, I need to wake up in the morning and kick myself in the ass by thinking about Jim Carrey.
I have a real grudge with someone who won the Mark Twain Prize.
Wait, didn't that just happen?
Yes, I think so.
Who was it, though?
No, I'm saying Adam Sandler.
Oh, it was Adam Sandler. Hey, see,
I'm saying that's why you're hanging on to the grudge. Is now it's even classier.
Are you telling me they're going to be gathering like they would for a Mark Twain Prize, but now they're going to be having and let's look at some of the classics from Adam. Let's look at thank you, Adam, looking up where he's sitting in the thing. Oh, that was wonderful. You know, someone's bad when you're bad at making fun of something. That means there's a lot of anger or something attached, right? When you're not doing it well. Yeah. Oh, real good, Adam Sandler. Real good with your Mark Twain Award.
I don't even like you enough to come up with a good noise to denigrate you.
Hey, Adam Sandler, is your real name Samuel Clemens too, stupid? What? Who's going to be at the Adam? I know, it's all the usual suspects.
I think it happened already, wasn't it?
Oh, it already happened.
I think it happened.
I bet they didn't even. Oh, okay.
It might not even be the Mark Twain Prize. I just thought I'm accepting some prestigious thing.
Oh, I think it is the Mark Twain Prize because I think that I've heard this earlier this week. Prestigious. You would never use the word prestigious. You didn't use those with the Cable Ace Awards years ago.
Yeah, because they weren't.
Is that the go-to low rent award show?
I don't think it is anymore because I think it's too far gone.
That's what I feel like. It's like, no, Andy, your jokes about the Professional Comedians Association do not still get laughs.
Dude, they don't resonate like they once did.
Hey, remember that Y2K thing? It was crazy. This lady's remembering it a little bit. No, they're not remembering it. They want more current material. No one hears old things and goes, oh, he's digging back into the Titanic now. All right. If that was popular, I would be a much more popular comic.
Yes.
Because there was a time period in my career when I wasn't exactly on this.
Andy inserts air quotes around the word career.
Can you make a switch? Can you make a sound like switch? No, that is. Can you make a sound that corresponds to the 3 parentheses or ellipses that indicate I'm a Jew?
Sure. Jew.
I'm telling you that you are. It's not that you're Michael Winslow.
No,
but you are in that. You're not even in that school.
No.
But you are a kid who did put more than 3 seconds into a Donald Duck impression when you were a kid.
Yes, I did, but that was never the one I really put all my. It wasn't. I didn't put all my duck eggs in that basket.
Okay, what was your favorite?
I don't know what my favorite was. Really.
Was it Elmer Fudd or something?
No. I did Elmer Fudd as late as my act when I was a teenager.
I say, who's the one that goes, I say. I
did Elmer Fudd as a Nicaraguan nationalist.
Oh.
I did.
Let me hear it.
Be very quiet. We're hunting contours. It all happened much faster than that, so.
Yeah, but I do appreciate the bit. You were anti-Contra, right?
No, I did Elmer Fudd as a Nicaraguan nationalist.
But what was the social?
There was I took no position on it in that bit.
Oh, so you're saying your cartoon bits were more in the Dave Coulier vein of comedy, where you just identify the.
I think my arching premise was having cartoon characters do the news to get as a way to keep people informed in some fucking way.
Well, see, you're really doing some deep cuts that show. I haven't even gotten into bits that. Well, I'm not saying this is a bad bit, but I'm saying that I don't know. I probably have so many more terrible jokes that I haven't hit the vein yet. I'm not saying that was a terrible joke. stupid idiot. I'm just saying the premise of you doing a cartoon voice as something else.
Not only did I do the voice, but I did an act out with it where I actually had the gun be very quiet while hunting contours. And it really did very well for me, I have to say. It really did very well for me.
Or Elmer Fudd as a Nicaraguan nationalist. Be very, very quiet. Well, hunting contours.
I really appreciate, I'm not kidding now, I really appreciate the extra effort because you do not normally, and notice I didn't say normally, you don't normally show, like act out an old act out thing. I could really see what it was like.
Yeah.
Okay, teach me how to do that. Be very
quiet.
Quiet. So in other words, you're making fun of someone. What is that exact speech impediment called?
It's a lisp, I think.
And so we want the kids. Hey, kids, do you feel bad about your lisp? Why don't you? What's that guy's name again?
Mel Blanc.
No, but what is the name of the character?
Elmer Fudd.
Is that from Donald? Is that from the Rabbit? Not the Rabbit.
Daffy Duck had a true lisp, I would say. But
wait a second. Are you saying Daffy Duck was born with a lisp? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes.
Okay. Why did that bother me?
He was suffering from it.
Okay, if it bothered me as a kid,
Sylvester.
Was my attitude wrong about it? Like, oh, people with speech impediments are not going to like to be mocked like they're Elmer Fudd.
I don't know. I think they probably weren't offended by Elmer Fudd, but they probably hated him because that was what people used as a weapon against them.
Oh, I see. Right.
I mean, they might have even identified with Elmer Fudd, and then it became a weapon.
Right. Boy, it all of a sudden got deep in here. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It all of a sudden it just got serious. Do you say this in your life? Do you say, it's been a minute? I don't like that one. It's been a minute.
I actually, I've done it a couple times. It doesn't feel right. But
how about it's a lot? It's a lot. Do you use that one too?
I don't know if I do.
You haven't heard that one. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Well,
it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It doesn't bother me that much.
This is going to be me in the home. Hey, remember on the show, Josh, I used to do my gripe of the week. People loved it.
Yeah, I just feel like, you do have to allow, what is it, 5 generations below you now to come up with some of their own things.
Last night, I got really sad when I realized that the people who I think are older than me, I'm exactly their age.
Yeah.
Like David Letterman, people of that David Letterman. So I think I'm of a different generation.
It's bad. It's this bad at any age because I'm the same as Ted Cruz, but Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, but that's
not
also
about Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, but I don't think it's about how people are at ages. It's about my impending. Is it impending or impinging death? My impending death.
Yes.
Yeah. Is the world not more concerned about it? Who just died at 79? Was it 79? It was like Christine McVie? That hits hard. I'm a 6. She was in a 7. What's the point of that? Seriously, what is the point of continuing? I was hoping this show would be for my cottage years. Cottage years?
Cottage years?
No, it's a cottage industry. Yeah. For my salad days?
No, that's at the beginning.
My second act?
Your dessert, maybe?
Do you think that Jell-O?
We'll just call it the long dessert.
Can you make sure that Jell-O is never in my eye line?
I cannot.
I just don't.
I cannot assure you of that. No, it might be the only way you can take nutrition at some point.
No, Andy, I will not make the decision now to say that there will be no Jell-O. You can affect me.
I don't want to be a hypocrite.
Here's one of the later scenes from the Andy Kindler Josh story. I'm not taking that horse pill. Come on. You like it's the Jell-O with the whipped cream on top, which I did like a little bit.
Life or death, Andy. Life or death.
It's time for questions. What do you want to know? We love your questions so much. It's half our show. Half our show.
Pickles wants to know. Pickles says, Pickles offers, Pickles offers, I'm watching Apollo 13 and was surprised that the response to the iconic line, Houston, we have a problem, was, who's we, fuckface? Is that true? From Apollo 13?
It seems weird. I'll have to go back and check.
Oh, man. I guess I was onto something.
Everyone could have done better. He could have done better. We could have done better, I think.
Oh, no. I always think if you bring fuckface into it, that's my kind of day.
Yeah.
Did I ruin it even further?
No. Johnny Whoop says, ever hear Alan Alda's podcast? Like you, Andy, he's sharp as a tack. He ends his interviews with 7 questions that I asked in previous weeks. It's been great listening. See, he had a project going and we didn't even know it.
Who, Alan Alda or this?
No,
this
Johnny
guy?
Whoops. Johnny Whoops.
And what's his project?
The project was feeding us the Alan Alda questions over the last several weeks, and we didn't even put it together.
I did not at all put it together. But because none of the questions were like Bernard Pivot. If they had been Bernard Pivot questions,
that's right.
What is the sound of one hand whining?
What name does God have written on his underwear inseam?
I didn't see. So something to me says that I would get tired of Alan Alda's voice on a podcast pretty quickly.
You think? It's just meatball podcasting.
Is the podcast about his acting career?
I assume it's more about science. That's been his thing. Lately.
Yeah, I know he's into science.
Yeah.
Dan Marsh says, "Hey guys, if you were to have a traditional burial, what epitaph do you want on your tombstone? Remember, died eating library paste? No, that's not. Blew it. Remember, died eating library paste is already taken." This is the stand. This is like a weird part. I would like saying, I go back in 10 minutes, like something funny like that.
Yeah.
Back in 10 minutes, closed for holidays, free parking.
I think I'll go with thanks, I'm good.
I think I'm going to go with this. I hated life, and I'm not crazy about death. All right. It's okay. It's all right. You know, I do think there's some kind of audience that's going to kick in or something like that.
Some kind of audience?
Yeah, like a live audience.
Yeah.
Or. Well, you remember how great it was when we do the show live?
Oh, those were the greatest days of our life, weren't they? Such a letdown to go back to the non-live show after that.
We can't get a following with the show itself. What if we did live?
What if we were able to embarrass ourselves in person?
What if we cheapened our stand-up and podcasting?
That's right.
And create another opportunity for Andy to wander off.
Welcome to Half a Loaf. Don't call me Boopsy said I just saw my first ad for He Saw Me Too. So after months of wondering, I know how to spell it. Not a bit.
He saw me too. Well, how do you know how to spell it from?
Because it comes.
Is it on the screen?
Yeah, it comes on screen very quickly.
Oh, no wonder why I order it in restaurants, because of the subliminal messages, I think. Right?
Have salad too.
B.D. West opines, Steve Byrne, The Last Late Night is the best stand-up special I've seen.
Steve Byrne.
Why don't you do it?
Steve Byrne, The Last Late Night is the best stand-up special. It was not like Steve Byrne is talking here. That's not how.
Okay. Oh, he's not talking.
No,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Go, you continue. Finish it for me.
Steve Byrne, The Last Late Night is the best stand-up special I've seen since, I don't know, a hologram? Andy, please tell me it's okay to like Steve Byrne.
Well, part of me is wondering if it is, but I can't locate because I can't locate my feelings about him. I've heard the name, but I don't know what the is it like a capital? It's not like a capital steps thing, right? Where it's political.
No, I don't think. Well, I mean, is everything political like capital steps? Is that really?
You can't. I'm not.
Like I'm willing to. I don't know his stuff, but I'm willing to bet it's not singing dumb fucking parody songs about politics.
But I thought that he may have been associated with the Dane Cook era over at Dubliners or something. But I can't judge on that, and I think I may be mixing him up with somebody. I apologize for everything.
So just tell him it's okay to like him then, for God's sake.
You know what? It's definitely okay.
All right.
Definitely okay to like Steve Byrne. But you know what's not okay to like? Don't like Jimmy Dore now. Don't like anybody, who's doing it.
Don't open the door.
Oh, God. Can I write that down?
Sure.
Scribble, 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 scribble. Why don't you ask a question? Do I have to do everything around here?
A warped, frustrated old Jason Parton says, "You used to be so cocky. You were going to see the world. Now, look at you. You once called me a warped, frustrated old..." I'm sorry.
It still works for me.
I watched a great deal of that last night on USA.
You couldn't have watched. I don't even. Now, when you're watching that, are you watching it because it still doesn't delight you, does it?
No, but it makes me remember words I've dropped out of impressions and stuff. Yeah.
Hey, I love that. Who's the guy who goes, "Hey, that's not the name of the place anymore, stupid. Get out of here, stupid."
We serve hard drinks for men who want to get drunk fast, and we don't need characters around to give the joint atmosphere. Now, do you get me, or do I have to slip you my left as a convincer? That's it. Out you two pixies go. Through the door or out the window.
See, I much rather do hee-haw.
I don't know
hee-haw.
you from Adam's off ox.
Oh, my God. Who played Clarence?
I don't know. I can't name the actor.
Okay. But I bet you could do the voice. Well, his voice wasn't very...
I like George Bailey.
You know what I like about how the angels in these movies, they're always... there's a little bit of a smug atmosphere. There's something smug about them sometimes.
Well, they're better than us. They're literally better than us.
I would think that would get old. Yes, I get it. Well, I don't know.
But okay, so we should ask Jason Parton's question, because his whole point is I was spiraled out of last week's show before my question was even read. That might be a first for me. Same thing happened. We went off. Jelvis, hope your numbers come out well with the doc. Thank you. I just had mine a couple weeks ago, he says. Spike, can you give us all a brief tap dancing routine? Thanks.
Wow, that was a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff to cover. When I thought he was talking about the documentary, but that's not what he meant.
No, he was talking.
And he had a similar procedure.
Apparently.
What am I, a detective now? What am I, a question detective?
But it was good, because I was like with the heart thing we're talking about now. Old Jew Medical Corner.
Oh yeah.
I was braced for terrible.
Oh, you were? Really?
I was, yeah, sure. I'll always be braced for terrible. And then even though there's, a slight problem with it, it's still like way below what I thought I would be at.
Right. So, yeah, and I have a feeling I was resistant to statins for many, many, many years, and now I take them with a low dose.
Yeah.
And my number, it's unbelievable. If you believe that there's any correlation between your cholesterol numbers and health, it'll be you probably had good readings before anyway, right?
No, I haven't had that good readings before.
So you'll see. You'll go like, what's the difference? I took this pill, and that's the kind of commercial I would do.
Right. That's what the magic happened with my blood pressure too.
Now I will say this: is that true?
Yes, my blood pressure is very well controlled now.
That's so cool. I will say this.
Because of a pill. I took a pill.
I will say this, that my Well, I know people. I'm not trying to lord it over you people that I'm like a machine. I'm like but my blood pressure is lowered from walking.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And my weight is. I've never lost weight before.
So you're saying consistent exercise has been beneficial to you?
Yeah, but specifically, what the thing was that I hated what they were telling me, which was I was running. And they then we're another hour. I hated running, so I had to find something I can do. You had to find something
Walk
you
to
like.
a pot store. It all makes sense.
Stephen Elton Yates says, have you ever met a celeb who turned out to be way nicer than you thought they would be? I was never a Joe Gibbs fan, but he was so nice when I met him that I'm now a fan. I think that is...
Much like medical tests, you always have to be prepared for horrible with celebrities.
That's true. You have to prepare for a high calcium score.
Right.
No, I think that is... I think the thing is, if you meet someone and they're extremely nice... You still can't say that they're not Hitler because Hitler could have been nice. Maybe that was one of his things. Was he was nice to one out of every 30 people.
He was while a genocidal maniac, also pretty good at glad handing. So
and now that I'm going to fight you on. I'm going to push back on that. I've seen a lot of Hitler footage, and there's no glad handing going on. Although the Hitler color.
That's later. I'm talking about moving up the ranks.
Do you like when they show pictures of him at the Wolf's Lair or whatever it is? You see pictures of people you've never seen. You see him. You see Ava Marie. It's not Ava Marie.
Just Ava. Just Ava Braun.
Ava Marie Braun?
Not Marie.
She has dogs.
Yeah.
It's in color.
Yeah.
And there's even dancing.
You don't like the humanizing quality of that?
No, I love it. I love it.
Do you? Okay.
In fact, I complained once. I said, don't make me love Hitler, okay? I've learned from the producer and such productions that Hitler and Hitlerism is just something that was of the past that we can make funny songs about.
Yes.
It's not something to currently worry about. That's what I loved about that. All right, go ahead. Let's go on. now.
Well, let me answer Stephen Elton Yates before we move on. I have met many celebs who turned out to be nicer than I thought they would be. The one that jumped to mind was Justin Timberlake when I worked with him on that movie. It was. He was a notch. He was
a sweet guy.
A notch better hang than I thought he could.
Yeah.
Possibly be even.
Right, and I think that if they're a good hang. Well, I've heard this about what's his name, who's kind of nuts. Is the guy from the, he's the guy from the Your Money Baby, Your Money, Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
Like I've heard he could be really fun to hang out with, but he's also nuts.
Yeah.
He has nuts, and his political ideas are nuts.
Right.
You heard me, fuck face. All right, let's get. What are we? We're making a meal out of every letter. Can't we get a little rhythm going?
BDUS says studies have determined that the most intimidating look is a bald man with a goatee. Further studies have determined that the name Josh is among the most cuddly. Josh, how do you square the bipolarity of your name and your look? Well, I don't have a goatee, first of all.
No, you don't. You have a very full, strange beard.
I have a bad beard, but it's a full one.
No, it's a good beard.
But
don't put yourself down.
No, it's not that great a beard. But
it sucks.
I wore a goatee. I have worn a goatee in the past. And I wore one in the movie to be 90s like.
You know what I see whenever I see somebody with a goatee? I go, hey, it's the goat. E.
Really?
You're the goat. E. You get the joke, right?
I do. I don't like it.
Okay. Greg Kelly says, boy, the baseball hot stove league is heating up, isn't it, Josh? I'm not saying these pitchers the Mets picked up are old, but they were alive when Andy was last seen on TV. That is old.
Wow. That is old.
Didn't we get Justin Verlander? That's not a bad pickup, is it? Or is he really, really old?
Well, he's old.
Like 32? He's married to Kate Upton, isn't he?
Why do we have to go through this every time we mention him?
Because it's like you have to live in the home. Get used to it. Doesn't matter how many times I bring up that I was at the World Series in 1969 when I'm at the home. You have to go, I do remember. You do? How is that when my brother came for? Why is my brother not visiting? Why is it making
Don't worry.
laugh?
The checks keep clearing. Don't worry.
Is Robert covering? Oh, he was here last night. Is that what you were doing?
He said hi in his check memo.
That's a good one. Oh, I enjoy that kind of comedy a lot. A lot. But tweet to tweet to tweet to tweet.
Do you want to do it, or should I?
Tweet Bahara says, I listened to Thought Spiral just for Josh's Letterman Paul impression. It's masterful. It is masterful. And
Paul, it's Tweet Bahara, Paul.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah, not Preet. Tweet.
Yes, Paul. Tweet Bahara, Paul.
It gets me every time.
I have to say that the
yeah, Dave
is really from Barry Golub. That's kind of his Paul Schaefer, is that?
Yeah, Dave.
Oh, yeah, Dave.
Because Paul in the later years became very big, really.
Yeah, but bigger. You mean like
bigger and bigger, like more Ed McMahon parody,
yes.
kind of.
Yeah, because first of all, I always thought Paul was very funny, but in the early days,
the band to play Rockin' Robin when you go Tweet Bahara. Paul, Tweet Bahara, Tweet Bahara, Paul, Tweet Bahara.
Yeah, Dave.
Oh, okay. Tweet Bahara is this another one? Yeah, Tweet Bahara has a follow-up question. From Thought Spiral 286, without looking him up, I think Felix Cavallari played bass behind Leslie West of Mountain in the 70s. What do you mean without looking it up? Why are people... how do we know what's going on?
It came up last show. I don't recall that.
No, I know what it is. It's talking about the express... is it the expressway? No, it's all the world over so easy to see. People everywhere just want to be free.
Was that...
That's Felix singing.
Was that Mountain?
No. That was the Rascals.
Okay, but was Felix Felix Cavallari in the Rascals?
I don't believe he was.
What the fuck is happening here?
Well, I'm either missing the reference. I always think I'm missing the reference, and that you would be laughing about this. Oh, of course, Leslie West. That's the joke.
Maybe you said Felix Cavallari and you were wrong. Maybe it was.
That's right. Oh, I see. That's what it is.
That's what happened.
Tim Jackson weighs in.
You meant
with
Felix Unger.
I did mean that. Tim Jackson weighs in with no question this week because I want to yield my time to Andy to talk more about Adam Sandler receiving the Mark Twain Prize. Well, Tim, thank you. Thank you. I think I've covered it, but I just think, no, I can't add anything more because I can see everything's going green, Josh. Everything's green with envy. No, I'll probably watch it too, the ceremony.
Will you be hate watching, Andy?
Yes.
Will you be hate watching?
No, because there'll probably be people I like will be there. I'm not watching it.
All right.
I'm not doing a speech anywhere, am I?
Mozart says, hey guys, I'm going to be deleting my Twitter account. Do let us know when there's another way to ask questions. I've only kept it so long because Andy is following me. Josh never did. But it was a thrill of my life in a recent episode where Mozart the composer came up. Josh made reference to me. And Andy asked, wait, is that one of our people? Yes, I am. And I always will be. Happiest of holidays to you and all the spiralers. I am most grateful to you all. Peace on earth, goodwill to all. Love, Mose.
Oh, Mose. I've been following him for many, many years.
There you go.
At this point. Yeah,
and I'll admit I haven't been generous with my follows. Always. I'm not always a generous follow backer.
Well, you don't have to be, but I think I followed Mozart before the show even, maybe. I thought.
Don't
go there. It's been, how many... No, but, it could be over. You know who was banned today was that guy who I like. He's CNN, like he's from Ireland. He's really good. Yeah.
He's gone. Keith Olbermann, banned.
Keith Olbermann was banned?
Yes. Think how many dogs are going to die now because Keith Olbermann was banned.
Okay, don't do those jokes.
It's not
you can,
joke.
because you're a dog person.
It's true.
Oh, that's right, because he was saving dogs.
Yeah.
I don't know why I took it. It's just, I don't know what's going to happen with it. But thank you, Mozart. And I don't know what I'm going to do. Although you can read me a post. I'm at Andy Kindler is still trying to hang on. And over at Mastodon, what am I, a troglodyte? Is a mastodon one of the dinosaurs?
Mastodon was a woolly mammoth sort of thing.
Do you think in another life I'll learn more about what's an animal, what's a mineral, and what's a vegetable?
You might, but then again, you'll be on another plane and it'll be all different animals.
This is I am so looking to this.
It'll just be all dead people's dogs looking for them.
Who gives me a goddamn dead dog? You don't follow up a dead dog. Dedication with a... that was Casey
Kasem.
That's pretty good, right? Take it away.
But to answer Mozart's question, which we tend to not do, we do have to figure out another way to get questions. How about this? How about if you all follow me on, for now, we'll eventually get a Thought Spiral Instagram, but we have no pictures to share. But if you follow J. Elvis Weinstein on Instagram, on Wednesday or Thursday, I'll post a thing with the show and the show number, and if you answer it in that.
You think there's a possibility that we might even be that we won't be able to get our podcast out if Elon Musk buys Apple Podcasts? Could he do that? It's such a strange thing. He's taking something away, and everybody is basically saying it's horrible, but I think I've been using social media too much.
Well, yeah.
Isn't that a reaction from many people?
I think it is. Because there's lots of realizations that come to it. One is because your first thought is, where else can I go?
Yeah.
And then you go to those places and it's just fucking boring because Twitter is where the action is, you know?
Twitter happened to be a great thing.
But it then makes you evaluate, why am I on it? What am I getting out of it? What do I need it for?
Right. And it'd be probably my therapist and my wife and everyone will have a big celebration the day that I leave.
I've just been on it for the last 6 months just because BB Newworth followed me and she likes a lot of my stuff. So.
Oh, that's so great. But there's still that, the thing is, it's just the whole thing's ridiculous. But, hopefully,
but what I really don't want to do is just try to chase after the feeling or chase after.
You can't do it. No.
Yeah. So I joined, I think, Hive, and I'll probably join Post when they let me on or whatever. But I doubt, it's a different thing like right now, anything but Twitter feels like homework.
That's right. It does. Right, because it's easy. Maybe he'll leave.
Well, and there's an audience on Twitter. That's what I do jokes for.
Right.
It's like, do I want to do jokes for 30,000 people or 300? So.
Well, folks, please switch to my email list. Please, everybody. Let's bring this action back to a tight circle. Remember those tight circles?
That was good, like the stump.
Yeah. All right, let's move it along because I have a 10:30.
I was your 10:30.
Oh. I made 11:30. Dan Marsh, I imagine that being on death row might ruin your appetite. So rather than the last meal, what would your perfect meal be? Please include beverages and carbs don't count for this one, Andy. I've been thinking sushi, Nozawa, because it was my favorite sushi place and that you can really appreciate it, like outside of the restaurant. So that would mean that probably not on death row, I would want the sushi steak.
Well, I don't think he's asking a last meal. I'm saying, I think in general, what's a perfect meal?
Sushi.
Yeah.
Sushi, for some reason, I've been craving the best sushi, which is, I think, Nozawa or whatever that would be people's version of that.
And you like an omakase thing.
I love the omakase. And I think my favorite thing is a blue crab, the crab roll he used to make. The crab roll that's a hand roll.
Yeah. I was always a little underwhelmed by that, actually.
Let me finish. That was the one thing you should have improved on. But I always go with steak and lobster. You can't go wrong with steak and lobster as your last meal.
Yeah. And again, I don't think we're doing last meals anymore. I think we're just doing the perfect meal. And we've established that that's sushi.
It's not the last meal.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just ignore me.
Huh?
What'd you say?
Huh? I don't know what the perfect meal is. I mean, the perfect meal is something you're always chasing as far as I'm concerned.
That's true. It used to be like pizza. When I was a kid, New York pizza, which I would like salivate. I mean, and I never got tired of it.
Yeah.
But that's different when you're a kid.
Kids and pizza are a pretty tight pair. I don't know. I think the perfect meal is always situational too.
True.
So.
And as soon as you pick the perfect meal, you go, well, I'm going to get tired of it after 5 years of it.
Well, I don't think you have to eat it every day for the rest of your life.
I can't get the rule. I can't get the rules of this question down. I keep adding things onto it, and then they beat you with the fear.
What are the laws of this meal-averse?
Do they make you eat your favorite food while they're killing you on death row?
Every time. Every day. They kill you and you eat.
I don't want to go to jail, Josh. I just want to put that out there.
That's the one fear I think we both share on a really basic level.
We would be so bored in jail. That's the thing I wouldn't like.
That's the hardest part of it to me. More than the rape, even.
I would be flirting with the guys and not understanding when they took it seriously.
Just to mix it up. Just to get a little action going.
You know who looks good today? Clarence. He looks, am I wrong? Strangling. I don't know what I was going with. Christopher Citro says, recently on some random Tuesday afternoon in December here in sunny Syracuse, there was a stabbing at a place of business called, wait for it, Peace Incorporated. Have you guys witnessed? That is terrible. Any naturally occurring ironies lately? That's a tough one to pull out of your face.
I don't have my bag of naturally occurring ironies at the ready.
What's the thing when it's like military intelligence and jumbo shrimp? What's that?
Contradiction in terms.
Okay. Well, I have those.
Constantly.
We'll get back to that.
I constantly have contradictions in terms once in a while.
All right, I'm really getting nauseous. Keep it going, baby.
A third Jew says, I'm a big fan of Mitch Hedberg's, and I know at least Andy knew him well. You didn't actually know him well, did you?
I knew him not like we hung out all the time, but like I did know him, but not, no. Yeah.
How different was his onstage persona from who he was offstage? I know a lot of comics create a character on stage. I don't mean like Larry the Cable Guy, but he always seemed genuine. Was he?
He was one of the sweetest people. Every time I met him, he was a sweet person. You never got the feeling he was like, going to turn on you. Did you meet him?
No.
Yeah, he was a very sweet guy. He really was. I don't know why I feel sad, because he passed away, maybe.
Maybe that's it. Shecky Flopsweat says, the basis of a joke I've been trying to make is that Twitter dies, nobody can tweet questions anymore, and one of you ends up with a Lucy Van Pelt type booth the comedian is in. That becomes your new Q&A portion of the show.
What is Lucy Van Pelt?
That's Lucy from Peanuts.
I thought, I'll go for it, but isn't that animated? Oh God!
What the fuck?
I think something's wrong with me. I think it's not even the questions. It's not me. It's not you. It's not the format. It's not the fact that Twitter is dying. It's not the fact that I feel useless in my soul. It's not any of those things.
It's just the most basic lack of engagement you could bring to the table.
So terrible. Terrible. It was a terrible reflection on my family and their forebears.
Yo 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 Yoshi yo Yoshi Yamamoto yo 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 Yoshi yo 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 Yamamoto yo Yamamoto Yamamoto potato.
I'm happy with that song.
Yoshi
Yamamoto
says, YouTube's algorithm tried showing me a recent Letterman appearance on Neil Brennan's podcast. Andy, it's time to reach out. If you can spend an hour with Neil Brennan, you don't need to worry about being too annoying.
Well, here's the thing. Dave's my hero. And so sometimes I look and I go, why doesn't Dave want to spend that? Dave spent plenty of time
Paul,
with me.
the Jews here again. Oh, Paul.
I can't say anything but great things. I was like, I don't expect to be called for his show.
He fell off a pogo stick, Paul. He fell off a pogo stick.
Yeah, Dave. He really went down hard.
It's just like a Twilight Zone. It's like a Twilight Zone now. Even I fell down hard. Torben Rolfson says, do you like France or Argentina better? Is that what's happening?
I believe that's a World Cup question, not just a general travel inquiry.
Yeah, but I thought that I would have been rooting for England against France for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know who to root for. I have to learn more about the teams.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll get on that.
I speak French, so as I do. I'm a big French fan.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of France, I think I said the Tour de France was like 30 days last week, and
how much long?
It's 21 stages, I think, and like 23.
21 days.
Like 23 days, 21 stages, 23 days.
What if you stay at a bed and breakfast? I just can't get the concept of a sport that goes past one day. The sport that goes past one day. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I know you love the Iditarod.
I
know you're a big fan of
big cricketer.
The best Western dirt bike 3000.
Sure.
But any sport where you go, I hope tomorrow to get back in the lead, forget it. Just forget it. I'm sorry. I couldn't get the anger going. Richard Cole says, is it okay that I love Pink's music?
Your anger went from Paris to Dakar.
Nah. Richard Cole says, is it okay that I love Pink's music and don't think much of Taylor Swift's? I don't know much about either of them, but when I've heard the music, I'm more partial towards Pink's music, not knowing that much about it.
Yeah.
And Taylor Swift is a very attractive lady, but I can't think of her songs. Oh, is she the one who goes with Clinton? And I would one schmogie. And no, that was Katy Perry.
Yeah. All right, shake it off. And yes, it's okay. It's okay to like whoever you want. You can like
shake it off. Walk it off.
Shake It Off is a Taylor Swift song. It was a double entendre.
See, that'll be for the people who get that kind of stuff.
Right. That's what I was hoping. It was a little Easter egg.
You made it worse with your calling it an Easter egg. Halpin Fraser says, "Hi guys."
It's a little afikoman for our viewers.
Inside out. Hi guys, what would be your nominees winners for worst commercial of 2022? Only pay for what you need. Enjoy the go. That car commercial Andy mentioned ineptly last show. I don't know. Is it by everyone's stooge?
Yeah.
I would say that at this point, the Geico, just for the fact that it's still there, is really terrible.
Yeah.
And why don't you tell me what you put in your recipe? I can't tell you. It's an old family recipe. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
And they're looking at the couple. Who would you hate to direct those commercials? I don't think he's looking down at where the Geico would be.
Yeah.
No, the worst of the Liberty. The Liberty Mutual makes me hate that company and hates insurance. Those are the worst.
Yeah, I think Liberty Emu might be the most there's no getting to good with that.
No.
Like there's not a route to good.
If you say, "Oh, I really hated it," then they go, "That's what they want," or it's like
there's nothing. There's
the worst one is the birds. They were attacking the people who are eating or something, some kind of contest. and then the birds start to attack the people.
No, the emu's worse.
That's true.
Oh, it's not TV, not TV. It's those commercials that get me. It's not TV, not TV. It's those commercials that get me.
Okay, can I read? You want to read that one? Next one.
Why? Because it's long.
Well, I have a response to it.
Okay. John Dunbar says a friend insists that Stevie Nicks' songwriting is wrong in the song Dreams because of the syllable emphasis on the word washes. Singing, when the rain washes, you clean away. When the rain washes, you clean away. That, I think that's how it goes. Instead of washes. Do you guys agree? Has Josh ever discussed this with Richard Dashit? I have not. I have not discussed it with Richard Dashit.
Here's the thing. I'm singing that song. I'm singing both songs all day long. And, yes, you would think I love Stevie Nicks, so I'm so in love with her that I think it's an eccentric thing in a way. You would think it would be rain, the rain washes you free, you'll know. That would be how you would normally think of using washes, but I still love it. I just think it also emphasizes washing because it's like washes you clean. It is absolutely the most greatest song, I think, in terms of it being such a mean, vicious song towards the person in the song. It's just so beautifully done. Because it goes, says, the heartbeat will drive you mad. She's telling her ex-lover that your heartbeat will drive you mad when you remember what you had and what you lost. So it's just vicious and beautiful and perfect. It's a perfect song.
Yeah.
And as like I say, it took me to age 66 to realize when they go, thunder only happens when it's raining, and that's a joke about not that it refers to not in the bedroom. So players only love you when they're playing. Now I know people say, "Oh, how do you know that's what she's for?" That's just how it hit me. Thunder only happens when it's raining, not from the great love making that this player thinks that they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's Lindsey Buckingham, and I totally think it's written to him. And of course, who knows? But I like to think that.
All right. Eastside 76 says, I respect Colin Kaepernick and support his stance regarding the anthem. Call me overly patriotic, but I can't help but stand and salute when it comes on. And then he's got the Cal Worthington theme here. Got a Cal Worthington commercial.
So it was a long build-up.
Was he trying to Cal roll us?
I think Eastside 76 as the official Mexican. Car,
go see Cal. For the best deal by far, go see Cal.
Go see Cal. If your problem's hit the boom, and you schminky schmacky schmoo.
Go see Cal, go see Cal, go see Schminky.
That's right. I got a 1970. He used to go like this. I got a 1965 Ford. It's $1,500. It's a 1955 Ford, $1,500.
Chaotic Neutral says, hey guys, so a bunch of JFK assassination files got declassified, and turns out the cover-up / conspiracy, etc., was all because the FBI fucked up by not arresting Oswald when they had the chance. Just wondering how Bill Hicks would have reacted. Josh, can you do Hicks? I can't really do Hicks.
I don't even know what they're talking about here. Is this true?
I think there has been. I think Biden ordered the release of...
No, but this FBI fucked up. When did they have the chance to arrest Oswald? I don't know this part of the story. Is this from the Oliver Stone movie?
I don't know. Don't press me.
Okay, I'm going to...
Do not press me. You know what? Do not press me on this.
Can I press you on one thing?
Sure.
This.
No, not this. Anything but.
It piques my interest. I'll tell you that. Why do you need me to tell you that? And finally, unless you have some kind of long missive from somebody through the email, which we might have to be switching to.
Yes, thoughtspiralshow@gmail.com is always an option. I guess we should read a few of those just to make that seem viable.
Okay, I think you should.
Right.
Last show before Christmas, which you guys remember as the birthday of the guy you killed because he spoke the truth. Look, I can take it. It wasn't good. No, I'm just kidding. We had nothing to do with it. Just kidding. Like Sous Vide says, Barabbas had all that dark money, which really turned the election in his favor. I'll tell you something. Barabbas doesn't really get enough coverage. Did you see the sequel? Barabbas. A lot of people thought the story ended with Barabbas getting freed.
I liked it when Pontius became a California highway patrolman.
No, I think you're mixing up. Oh? I liked when Ponce de Leon was on Chips. All right, get to a question. Get to one of your questions.
I'll do one of these little mail questions. Duckman says, you have not gotten stale. I have not walked away. Love you both. Thank you, Duckman.
Oh, thank you. I don't think we are stale. I think except for what you're doing.
But I'm just saying that's how it ends. Is people it gets stale and people walk away. Is what that's. Stephen LaFave says, I'm posing this question to 2 veteran Hollywood insiders. Okay, and you're CCing us? What? When did selling out stop being a thing? I seem to recall that in the late 90s, perhaps, that George Carlin did an ad for a credit card and people were complaining that he sold out. And then that was the last time that I ever remember hearing that complaint. Was that strictly a Gen X boomer concern? When did it stop being a thing? Did it coincide with the dot-com bubble collapsing and everyone realized that the artists had to make money too? From Steve.
I think that it was something that a lot of artists did believe in the 60s, but then I think it began to be like hard to... I never was like Bill Hicks about it. I just felt like, if you have to make a living, but then you do it. But then you can do it as long as you do it. But now, when I see these people who endorsed FTX, I do think that's a legitimate question when you're putting... when you're endorsing something and you're putting your name behind something that first of all, you're a wealthy, rich person. You never had to do that commercial to begin with. That's the only thing I would say that I would chafe at is when people make choices that are crazy, or that I thought when they were doing that commercial, I thought that was ridiculous that they were doing something that they didn't even know what they were endorsing.
All right. Yeah, no, I agree that it's if you want your name to remain intact as credible, then you need to be careful,
Right.
Even if it's, I'm sure, a big fucking check that came from FTX,
Well, I was talking to somebody about how, who was I talking about with this? They were saying, reverse mortgages can be an okay thing to do, but they can also be kind of a creepy thing to do, depending on who's doing it. So that's why it kind of looks weird when a guy there can be situations where people did it and they're not going to be happy that they did it. And then it's Tom Selleck telling them.
Right.
And then why does he need the money?
Well, I mean,
he might need the money. That you never know, right?
But what does that mean? Need the money?
I need the money and you need the money. That's the difference.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you're in the business of performing for money, you need the gig too. Spiritually, you need the gig sometimes.
Well, also, it's to me,
you need to be wanted.
Well, I've always said to you that I don't like the programming on TV.
Yeah.
I mean, I like some of the programming, but not the commercials. But my argument would be that when things are funny, there's no difference between those funny commercials where they're doing the turning into your dad. That's comedy to me. It doesn't matter that it's in a commercial.
It is comedy, but then you have to see it 150 times, and then it ceases to be comedy.
Right, but I'm saying the idea,
you've seen it once. So.
Right, but in separating out, for example, I think Kelly Clarkson and Shaq are great pitch people. I don't know why they're great pitch people. They're very good at it. I'm comfortable watching them over and over again.
Right.
So some people, but then it's
it's because they are genuine in them.
Yeah,
and they are genuine in their desire to make people happy. I think. I mean, I was just watching the Shaq doc, and so he is. His whole thing is, I want to be remembered as a nice guy.
That's cool.
Much more than a basketball player. I want to be did he sign your kid's thing? Did he,
I'll never forget when I said to Frank Smiley?
Yes.
Used to be over Conan. I was doing Conan or whatever, and I said, how come the athletes don't come up to me when I'm on the show and are excited to meet me? So I'm about to go on, and Shaq tapped me on the shoulder. Hi, it's very nice to meet you. because Frank asked him to come over to me. Hi, very nice to meet you. He's also truly a funny guy. I mean, some people are funny; they're just funny. You know, I mean, in that format.
Yes. Well, yeah, and he, if you should watch that Shaq doc because he talks all.
I do. Where's it on?
It's on HBO.
Oh, did you want to read a couple more letters too, or?
Yeah, I'll read a couple more. Bill says, "Gentlemen, apart from your customary appearance fees, paid presumably by a venue you've chosen for your shows, how many of these delectable crustaceans would I have to buy each of you?" This is the subject was how many lobsters. "How many of these delectable crustaceans would I have to buy each of you to convince you to break bread with me the next time you visit Halifax? Love your chemistry. Thanks again for sharing your comedy with the world. Cheers."
If I went to Halifax, I can't see myself in Halifax, but I love lobster.
Bill, let me just say, it's a date. If I'm in Halifax doing comedy,
yeah, absolutely,
we are having dinner.
Well, first of all,
I'm holding you to that, Bill. I'm holding you to that.
And it is beautiful there.
I've never been to Halifax.
Yeah.
Stephen L. Yates sent a bunch of Quaker information when we were both not knowing a lot of stuff. Sherman Allen says, noted degenerate Joey Ross got a brief mention last week. This is from a few weeks ago. He's in the group of performers who died on stage, like Moliere and Johnny Guitar Watson. But Joe's gig was at the clubhouse of the Oakwood Apartments. How the mighty have fallen.
Oh, my God. Is that true?
I don't know.
Oh, no. He made that up. That's a makeup.
I don't know. It's so beautifully bleak. It kind of feels true.
I stayed at the Oakwood Garden Apartments.
I find that story fascinating. If you guys combined 80 years in Los Angeles, any good Oakwood stories? It's pretty fucking notorious. Love, 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 love the show.
I stayed there. I lived there. How's that?
For how long?
Well, probably like 8 months, a year, maybe.
Which one? The one on Barham?
No, the one in Mar Vista, if it's still there, even. On Sepulveda.
It's a chain.
I know they're a chain. I do know they're a chain. I didn't know when I moved in there. I didn't know anything about anything that they were like where people stay, when they're trying to make it in showbiz. That's not why I was staying there. It was cheap.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in show business. I want to stress that.
No, you were a musician.
I was a musician. That's good. That's rich.
Kenny in Seattle says, hello, gentlemen. Long-time listener, first-time questioner. If you had a few weeks to come up with a 5-minute set to entertain a room full of 8-year-olds, would you be up for the task? Hoping to see Andy again at Laughs Comedy Club and that Josh will roll through town someday. Keep spiraling. Kenny in Seattle. I've rolled through town a couple times with Cinematic Titanic, but not standing up. I would do, yeah. I mean, it would have to be a good money for the 5-minute set for 8-year-olds for me to have to write stuff, but I could absolutely entertain some 8-year-olds for 5 minutes.
We are, I just was starting to think about how sad it is that, not sad, but I'm starting to want to be in other cities again, but it's not going to happen this soon.
Yeah.
You are. I haven't even been you've been on the commercial planes many times.
I've been a few times. But yeah. I don't think I went anywhere this year.
Oh, where are you going? You're going next year.
I think the last trip I took. Oh no, I went to Acme in May. Never mind.
Right.
And I'll be back in Acme next May with Frank Conniff.
That's going to be great.
May 31st to the 3rd.
I just looked, and next week it looks like we probably can do both shows.
Yeah, I think we're good through the end of the year. Sorry.
Yeah, probably good. Sorry. God damn it. Why would I want to miss the show? I don't want to not miss a show. I love to be.
All right. We're just out of time. We're just playing.
Well, do you think I could hang up on you before you hang up on me? I think Come on, Gaggle. Get the lead out.